Hello, friends. Welcome to Programming in Your Hands. And we are going to see about strings this day. Being a very important concept, all of us must know what a string means. A string is a collection of characters in C++. There are generally two types of strings. Strings that are objects of string class. That is the first type of string where you have the name, class name as string, and you will have objects. And the second category, you call it as C strings or C style strings or character string. When you use a keyword which is called as char. When you use such things, there are so many inbuilt functions available like string concatenate, string copy, etc. So in that case, you need to use the header which is C string or string.h. Okay, we'll see these two types in detail now. C strings, when you use char, this is the variable name str. You always represent it with an array. This is an empty array which means it can occupy any number of bytes. So now it holds four characters. What are those four characters? You have C as first, plus as second, this plus as third, and the last character being a null character, that is /0. The same char str empty bracket, you can write it as char str of 4 within double quote C++ or char str with empty array size, and you have an opening flower bracket, and using single quotes you can write the letters separately and the last letter being a null character. Otherwise you can use a string the size array size as 4. All these can be written or can be called as C strings or C style strings or character strings. Okay, we'll see a simple example of reading a word. Just a word. So when I am want to read a word, I can use just cin to read a word. Here you can see this is a C style string, char, str, the array size is 100 and its range is 0 to 99. So it accepts the characters from 0 to 99 only if it is a word. The cin accepts only word, not a sentence. Okay, so you know already cout you entered, so that will be displayed on the screen. So str, whatever is given as input, that will be displayed. Now enter another string, you have str, so whatever you have entered here again will be displayed. So this is reading a word, a simple example. Now, if I want to read a line with spaces, for example, C++ space programming, in that case, my cin won't work. In that case, I use cin.get, and you have this particular string and the size can also be entered. So when you are reading a word and trying to display that particular word, you can use cin. But when you are going to read a line or a sentence, you need to go for some inbuilt cin.get function, or you can also use getLine, or you can also use gets. Fine. So whenever I want to read a multiple lines and I want to read only till a particular part, in that case, what do I have to do? I can specify the limit maximum of 2000, then enter a string. You can write it as cin.get. I cannot use cin because just cin means it will read only a word. So I need to use cin.get, the input that I have entered, and the max is 2000. So it reads till 2000 characters. And you can see a single quote over here, which means it will read until this particular symbol, after which it will not be displayed. So whenever I use you entered str, You can see enter a string. I have written multiple lines, and you can see the dollar symbol. Even after that, I have written something. And what will be my output? The next one you entered, whatever I have written just before dollar symbol will be displayed, and whatever after the dollar symbol will not be displayed. This is an example of reading multiple lines only till a particular point. Okay. Now, whatever we saw earlier was C style strings. And what we are going to see now is objects of string class. So this is a string object. What do I mean by string object? You have a string class name and you have an object. You call it as str. So now enter a string. You can use cin.get also. There is a function which is named as getLine also. So cin comma str, which mean I am going to read a string with spaces, and you entered str. So this is an example of using string object. Okay. So now comparison of how to use C strings and string object. Okay, we'll see this. Now we are going to use or copy one string to another string. So here you can see the keyword string. This is string object. So I should use, there are two objects with a class name string. Cout enter string s1. You have getLine. This is my first input I'm getting for s1. Now what have I done? S1 is automatically assigned to S2 using an assignment operator. Imagine in S1 I'm writing C++ programming. Okay, C++ strings. Okay, so now I have copied C++ strings to S2. Now I want to display S1 is equal to C++ strings, and here S2 is equal to. Now whatever is there in S1 is already copied to S2. Since this is a string object, I cannot do this equal to operator, or I cannot use this equal to operator in character strings or C style string, that you must know. So only in string object I can use this particular operator. So in both case I can see my output as C++ strings. Fine, we'll see what happens in C string. Okay, there is an inbuilt function which you call it as strcpy, string copy. So whenever I use string copy, it is same as that of using equal to. Equal to will be applicable only in string objects, and strcpy will be applicable for C strings. In that case, what is the header that I should use? Yes, C string or string.h. Okay. Now this would be my output. The same case, you have two types of strings, okay, and S1 and S2, which is being copied. One string is copied to another object. Okay. Now we are going to see about array of strings. So array of strings, yes, you have a 2D over here, 2 dimension. This is an array, 2-dimensional array, where the first array size is 4 and the second array size is 10. So this 4 represents the rows and this 10 represents the column. So there are 4 rows here. You can see within, that is indicated within double quotes. So there are 4 rows: blue, red, orange and yellow. Each row has 10 columns. So B corresponds to 0, L corresponds to 1, U corresponds to 2, E corresponds to 3. So till 9, because since it is 10, the range extends from 0 to 9. So B is 0, 0th row, 0th column, 0th row, first column, 0th row, second column, 0th row, third column. So it will be stored that way. But you can see that the 0th row, 6th column, 7th column, 5th column, 8th column are all empty, which means it occupies, or my memory space has been wasted over here. In this case, this is a normal character string, C style string. So in this case, instead of this, we can go for string object. Here you can see that both the strings, these sizes are fixed, which leads to unwanted memory space. So rather you can go for using string objects, where I'm using string here, and it doesn't need 2 dimension. It requires only 1 dimension. So only the row is enough. The 0th row, first row, second row and the third row. So only this is enough. So always to save space, we can go for string objects. Okay, now we'll see few programs using strings. So this is a simple program. So where we are finding out whether the entered strings are equal or not. So here I have used gets instead of using gets, you can use cin.get. So you are first getting one input from the user, the second input from the user. You are comparing these two strings, and if it is equal to 0, both the strings are equal, or the strings are not equal. So this is using string compare strcmp. In this case, you are using char C style string, so you should use a header string dot h. Okay, and another example. So this is an example to check the frequency of occurrence of a particular character. This is using string object, which means we use a keyword called string. So here string str equals C++ programming is awesome. So in this particular sentence, you are going to check a particular character, that is A. How many times this A has occurred in this particular sentence? So now you are using a count for counting the number of times it has occurred. So count is initialized to 0. You are using a for loop. This str size, so it starts from 0 and ends till e. That is the str size. Okay, till then it finds out whether the str of 0, that is c, is equal to a. No, if it is not equal, it comes out of this loop and it increments my I. So now I becomes 1. So str of 1, what is my str of 1? Plus. Now it is checking plus is equal to this particular A or not. No, plus is not equal to A. So it comes out of this particular if statement and goes to I plus plus. Similarly, it checks until it comes to E. So now, if suppose it encounters A, my count value will be incremented from 0 to 1. Similarly, you have one more A here, which means again my count value will be incremented and it shows 2. So, in the whole set, you can check that number of A is equal to 2 times. So, my output will be 2. So, this is a program for finding the frequency of characters of a string object. Okay, fine. And using strlen, this is an inbuilt function where you will use character string. So you're using char str. C++ programming is awesome. So here strlen of str. This is my str. So I'm going to find out the str length. So strlen. So it will give me my output as 26. The whole thing is fully 26 including the spaces. Okay. So now yet another program. Can you guess what sort of program is this? Yeah, this is a reversal of a string. String reversal. Here you can see the swapping procedure taking place. So here I am trying to reverse a given string. So now here you can see you have I is incremented comma j is decremented. This is also possible in C++. Simultaneously you are incrementing I as well as you are decrementing j. So my string will be keeping on reversing. So at last I get a reversed string. This is a program for reversing a string. Fine. And now you can come out with concatenation. I want you to use strcat. Using strcat you can add the first and the last name. So hope you find this useful. Thanks for watching.